So up until now, the user's been able to join a single chat room when using the application. We haven't named that chat room, we just assumed there's a global chat room that they can use. What we'd like to do is to now support multiple chat rooms. And the way we'll do that is by extending the server endpoint. So at the moment, the server endpoint looks like this. It's just /WebSocket/chat. And what we want to do is change that. So here we can specify the name of the endpoint. And we do that using something called path parameters. A path parameter is simply a name that we append to the end of the endpoint using braces to specify that this is a variable name. So we can say something like this. And in here, we could say room name. We can then use that path parameter in other methods within the server, such as onOpen, onClose, and onMessage. In this case, we'll use that path parameter to get the name of the room the users want to join. And we'll need to change our code so that when the users join, they join a specific room. And we retrieve the messages for all the users in the room that they are in, or for all the users within a specific room. So what we are going to do is to have a set of users connected to the rooms to which they belong. So to do that, we need to change the collections here, the clients, users, and messages, so that they belong to a specific room. And the way we'll do that is, rather than have these defined simply as lists of something, we'll create dictionaries for each of these. So we'll have a dictionary that'll be a map of room to clients, room to users, and room to messages. And these will simply look something like this. So we have a dictionary type as the base class, which uses a hash table as its implementation class. And these dictionaries are mappings of string to be a list of something. So string to a list of chat endpoint, string to a list of chat user, and string to a list of chat message, where the string will be the name of the room that we're going to use. And we'll end up getting the room name from the path parameter here. Now obviously at the moment the code has stopped compiling because we are calling methods such as clients.add, where this assumes the clients is a list and now clients is a dictionary. So we need to go through and add path parameters to each place where they'll be used. So we'll need to add a path parameter to onOpen, onClose, and onMessage. So to use a path parameter on our annotated methods, we need to add another variable to these methods, and that variable is of type string. We can call this anything we want to, but in our case the path parameter will be the room name. And then we need to annotate this with the @path_param annotation. And that path parameter annotation here, we specify the name of the path parameter, which matches the name that we supply here. So here we use room-name, and inside path param, we'd also say room-name. IntelliJ is nagging us to bring in the correct namespace, so we import JavaX WebSocket server.pathparam. Now that we have that, the path parameter will be passed to us as a variable here called room name. And we can simply use that within onOpen. We can then do the same for the other methods. So inside onClose, we can pass the path parameter, and inside onMessage, we can also pass the path parameter. And in fact, we need to do this for both onMessage calls. Now that we have the path parameter, we can correct our code. So here, for example, inside onOpen, rather than simply getting clients and assuming clients is a list, we need to reach into the dictionary, use the name of the room to pull out the list we'd like to use, and then add our client endpoint to that list. So the code will look something like this. We use get on the dictionary to get the list of the endpoints. If that is null, it means we don't have a list stored in the dictionary for this room yet. This is the first time we've seen this room. So we create a new copy on write array list, and we store that inside the dictionary. Whether we've created a new one or we're using the original one, we can now add our new endpoint into this dictionary at this point. So we have a new endpoint for this room. We do something similar for onClose. In this case, We grab the room from the dictionary, but if the room doesn't exist, we need to throw an exception, as we are expecting the room to be there, and if it's not, this is an invalid case. And we need to add that exception to the method signature, and then once we've had that, we can remove the endpoint from the list of chat endpoints. So for onMessage, here we need to change the call from clients to clients.get and passing it the room name. And that will return us the client inside this particular room, and again we can send this message to that particular client. The same will also be true in each of the process message calls. So for each of these, when we call process message, we need to pass along the room name. So we'll append that to each of the method calls. We'll change each process message so it takes the room name. Again, a simple copy and paste to put this on each of the messages. And then inside each process message, we need to process the messages for that particular room. So for the join message, it's going to look something like this. For the chat message, it will be similar. For the get users message, rather than calling chat endpoint.users, we'll call chat endpoint.users get, and again pass in the room name. And also for the new chat messages message, chat endpoint.messages.get, again passing in the room name to this. And then finally we need to change broadcast, so it also takes the room name. So again, string room name, and similarly as to the broadcast above, we'll call clients.get, passing it the room name, so we iterate around all the clients for that room name. And now we should find that all the code will compile. We still have these errors being shown by IDEA that we have duplicate on messages, and we know from past experience that that's simply a false error.